My name's Matt Adelmann, and I live in Plano. I'm from Aurora. I drive a 2010 Mitsubishi Lancer GTS. It's a 2.4 liter as opposed to a 2 liter, or as opposed to the Evo or the Rally Art, which is the 2 liter with a turbo. I didn't buy it to turn it into a track car or time attack car. I bought it because I needed something just better on gas, more comfortable. So my good friend's little sister was selling this. This was her first car. She basically said, if you can give me what the dealer will give me. So I got it for like less than 2,000 bucks. And I was just kind of lucky enough to have a car that is sort of suited to being modified for a track. I mean, it's no Evo or Rally Art, but you know, it's kind of, the bones are there a little bit. You see a lot of Evos and Rally Arts, but you don't really see a front wheel drive, naturally aspirated Lancer. But so I kind of like doing that, like do the best that you can with what you can afford. You know, that's how I am with everything, with music, with guitars, with tools, with cars, everything. You know, like I want to buy the best that I can afford and then do the absolute best I can with it. And I feel like a lot of times people be surprised with like what you can do with just very little. The first thing I did was what everyone does, intake, and my buddy had the same Lancer and he was getting rid of it, so I bought his pseudo fart can for the back of it. I realized, like, okay, without a turbo, there's only so much you can do. So I started working on how to get as much cold air into the engine as possible. And so I tinkered around. I built an air box and a secondary air duct to just like increase that flow. And I'm to the point now where it's about 4 to 5 degrees above outside air temperature, no matter if it's hot out, cold out. I mean, what does that net you? Maybe a horsepower, you know? So, but it just kind of was something to make me feel better about like working on my car. I put new NK EV5 wheels on. They're 18s, which is the stock size, but I went a little bit wider. Went one size wider on the tires. They're hand-cooked Ventus. They're all seasons. I can't afford for now a dedicated set of track tires. So these are a good in-between. When I finally do get some stickies, it'll be just a whole nother world and I'll be that much better. So I feel okay about that. I put in a rear strut tower bar just because it's got the one in the front, so I put one in the rear. I had a short throw shifter installed, weighted shift knob. I take the seats out, completely strip it out for the track days. There's an NRG racing seat in there. I cut the front fascia next to the fog lights, and I ran brake ducting all the way through, and it exits right out at the center of my calipers. It's fast enough on track for what it is, but the braking power, Blackhawk really tests your brakes, so that really helped. I do have a pair of G-Lock front pads that I ordered, but the compound, they had run out, so they had to, you know, I had to wait till they resupplied it. So the transmission in there now doesn't have first gear, and second is starting to go. So I have a brand new factory Mitsubishi transmission. I don't know for sure if it was tracking it that did it, but it didn't start till after I started tracking it. Luckily though, for track days and for time attack, you don't need a standing start. So first gear is essentially not needed, except for going around the paddock because I'm just revving the gas and riding my clutch out. But yeah, that's going in a couple weeks. My buddy Josh at JRP Performance, he races MR2s at Blackhawk actually. He's gonna help me put that in. Actually, I'm gonna help him put that in. I am gonna order a new clutch just because the clutch was new last year, 2 years ago, but after a year and a half of starting in second gear, it's toast. And I have Tane coilovers, front and back, just the real basic set. But I mean, it just allowed me to slam it a little bit, which looks cooler, but also just, you know, kind of makes it feel a little more planted going around the corners. On track days when it's all stripped out, it's like less than 2,900 pounds, just under, so not too bad. I lost like 40 pounds over the winter, so that's gonna be a huge mod. So that ought to work. But yeah, I think that's most of them. I mean, like I said, it's real basic mods, a lot of cheap mods that I could do myself. That like, I just wanted meaningful mods that actually did something. Some better brakes and tires though will shave some time, and a lot of times people get caught up in wanting to make sure they have the best of everything, and that obviously that helps. Like, good tools make your job way easier, but it still comes down to like how dedicated you are and how hard you want to work. So, which is kind of why I like the current time attack setup with RevMatch because it makes sense why you do it, because it's not a huge field of cars, but it also is cool because it rewards consistent driving, you know. So you can go up against a car that's way faster, but you know, if you're the more consistent driver and you've got your setup dialed in, you can do just as well. So I think that's cool. You know, it's more of a pure thing where you're not relying on the car as much, you know. After high school, I worked construction. I worked as a cook, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I went to college. I got an associate's degree in heating and air conditioning, but I realized halfway through it wasn't for me. But so I finished that. I worked private security for a couple of years, doing like armed security and private investigations and stuff like that, and that was fun. But that wasn't really for me. It was fun while I did it, you know, when I was in my 20s, but I had always kind of painted on the side because my family's been painting for over 100 years. And I realized, like, I can do this full time. I'm good at it, and I can make more money doing this, and I can be my own boss. So I started my own company and just started investing time and money and learning as much as I could and acquiring tools. And then I have a shop in the basement, and yeah, it's pretty much what I do. Work on the car and play guitar. I had been watching Grid Life videos, and I didn't know that a buddy of mine knew somebody that worked there. And so they were like, yeah, you should just come check it out. Actually, that was the first time I'd ever been at a track. First time I went on a ride along. I met a bunch of people that day, and it seemed really like unattainable. Like, I got to ride in like a really legit caged race car, so it seemed really intimidating because like you know, you go on these ride alongs and it's your first time. But then you know, Kevin, the guy that I know that works for Grid Life, he was like, you know, it's a lot easier than you'd think. You know, you just gotta buy the right mods that really matter, and you know. So I wanted to do it, but Grid Life's pretty expensive, even at like their smaller events, which understandably it's a big event. So you handed me a card for RevMatch, and I was really bummed out sitting there because I didn't think I was gonna be able to afford to do anything. Like, and I was like, man, I don't know if this is gonna work. And then I was like, I have that card for that Ryan guy, and then I looked it up, and it was like half the price of the Blackhawk day for Grid Life, and I was like, oh man. And then Taylor from Ultima Raceworks, she sent me a coupon code for that first time, and I was like, oh man. So I was able to do it for like really cheap, and that was enough to convince my wife to let me do it. And then after that, the mindset was basically just like, okay, now I'm doing this. Like, it was on from there. You know, it's like, it's addicting. 930 is, it's my son's birthday, September 30th. We had him in 2020, and when you have your first kid, it's like this big life-changing thing. So I just thought that would be a cool number to have when I started doing track stuff. And from the time I started, it's always been 930, except for the one Grid Life event, they assigned me a number. But so it started like that, and I just thought it was a cool, like, meaningful number to have. And then I turned into my like my YouTube channel name too, so that way when I was talking to people at the track, because they would see the sticker, it's kind of like the name of my race team, which is literally just me. I still have a free RevMatch event that I'm going to use. I think I'm going to do the first Blackhawk of the year probably. I want to do at least 1 or 2 more Rev matches. I probably won't do any Grid Life this year, just money's tight, and I'd rather get more track time. So I want to do Gingerman Rev match this year, compete at least 3 more times this summer, win at least 1 more time, and get down sub 130 at Blackhawk. My personal best was a 133.4 at Blackhawk last year. That was what won me the bracket. So I want to go sub 130 because I think with better brakes, I think I can save a lot of time. Other than that, I mean, like I said, my business, Adelmann Painting Co. is you know, that's what I do full time. It's paintthishouse.com, easy to remember. So anybody needs cabinets refinished, I need money for parts and stuff like that. So by all means, give me a call, go to my website, and 930 Racing on YouTube, Vuko Law LLP. It's my buddy Joe. He grew up with my brother, and he's a fantastic lawyer. I sent out a thing last year just asking if people wanted to sponsor me, and he responded right away and was like, yeah, sure. So I got some decals made, and he's sponsored me last year and this year coming up. And so if I can get a couple more, you don't have to pay for those G-locks myself, and I'll be good to go.